Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great hump day and that you are literally getting over the hump. We have some news here on Trey Lance. Now, I'm trying to figure out what I make of this because Zeke Elliott, who had been 21 when he was here eating, went to New England and he ended up being the number 15. Came back here and we had first heard that he was going to be 21, right? Going back to 21, which you would think the Cowboys that would make them happy because they probably still have some Zeke Elliott jerseys at 21 on it that they would like to be able to sell. But then again, you look at it and say, wait a minute. They might look and say, if we put a 15 on Zeke, that's new jerseys that will sell too. So maybe we sell more because people that already have a jersey, they may look and say, let me go ahead and buy me another Zeke one, a 15. So we can have the before New England and the after New England one. And to make this possible, Trey Lance was 15. He was 15, but he traded to 19, which is interesting to say the least. Because on the same day he traded was the same day that the Cowboys announced that they're not picking up the fifth-year option on Trey Lance. So here's what this means. Now, technically, they could tomorrow before 4 o'clock. That's when the deadline is. But technically, what happens? Not technically. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's a free agent who ended up the season at third string. And if they had picked up the fifth-year option, it would have been the tune of somewhere around $24 million to keep him here next year. So the Cowboys at the moment are risking having no quarterbacks to start next year. Dak's not on a contract after this year. Cooper Rush isn't. And neither is now Trey Lance. This is kind of interesting, to say the least. But here's the thing. If you are looking and saying, if the Cowboys are saying, we are trying to put pressure on Dak Prescott, that we are, in fact, looking at Trey Lance as our future, you might want to try and lock him up so he can't leave at the end of the year. Because hypothetically, here's what could happen for Trey Lance. You have to figure that in preseason, the Cowboys didn't play Dak Prescott much at all. That Trey Lance is going to be playing the 3 preseason games and getting some reps and things. He might look pretty good out there. Dak Prescott, let's hope not, could get hurt. In which case, he could get more playing time. And in the NFL, where 6 teams drafted quarterbacks in the first round. There's not many of them out there. And it's funny because being on the Dan Salio show with Philly 500, where they literally tag teamed me, I'm getting like, I've got a duck, I got a weave and everything else. I got 2 mother humpers there, and I ain't got nobody I can tag in with me. But they're like, why are you tied to Dak Prescott? And I said, here's the thing. Fantasy football, people think all you got to do is just, trade somebody and just get them in, and you got a quarterback. The reality is it's not that easy. It really isn't. I've seen since 1991, Washington has been trying to get a quarterback that's a franchise quarterback. They have used first-round draft picks. They've traded for quarterbacks. They have signed ones. They have done everything in the world to try and get one. And they still don't. They tried again this year. In the last 11 years, they spent 3 number ones on RG3. They spent another one on Dwayne Haskins. And I'm sorry, the name escapes me, this year. In the last 11 years, they spent 5 first-round picks on quarterbacks, and you're not sure that they have one yet. Not to mention the amount of money. The Cleveland Browns, same thing. You can look at the Atlanta Falcons. Been trying to get a quarterback since Matty Ice. Getting quarterbacks is hard. And that's why I look at it, I say, guys, of those 6 guys that were just drafted, how many of you do you think are going to be Pat Mahomes? How many of them do you think are going to be Super Bowl champions? Bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush. But the thing I'll say is, if they believe Trey Lance is that good, you would think that Cooper Rush, where they could save about $3 million, would be cut, and they'd hire another journeyman veteran minimum to be a camp body. But they haven't. If they thought that he was going to be the guy, they would have done the 5th-year option. At the moment, they haven't. And I think the reason being is, and I think they'll do all efforts to make him look as good as possible, to hopefully do the Steve Walsh. Some of y'all may not remember Steve Walsh. Steve Walsh and Troy Aikman allegedly were battling for the starting position, although Jimmy Johnson knew that Steve Walsh was not that good. But he made him sound like he was that good, that he was better than Troy Aikman. And he got a first, a second, a third for him, trading him to New Orleans. And that was another one of those great robberies that the Cowboys had that helped make them a dynasty. So maybe we get lucky and Trey Lance does show up, show real good. Somebody gets desperate for a quarterback during the season, you make a trade. Or at the end of the year, you get a compensatory pick, 4th round, 3rd round, depending on the contract. That would be the hope. Or maybe the hope is that he'll end up being the franchise quarterback for the Cowboys. Who knows? Or maybe it's Secure Sanders is what they run all the way around. And yeah, so there's that. So there you have it, good people. For our sake, I hope Trey Lance does play good, because there's nothing to gain for him playing like crap after you give up a 4th round pick. You want him to play good and hopefully either become a starter or become a piece that brings some other starters here. All right, good people. I hope you're having a great night, and I will see you guys at my fireside chat. Last night, I was literally so tired, I passed out on the couch. Wife said, boy, get your ass up and go to bed. I said, all right, baby. And I just forgot to do the fireside chat. I think all of the draft trip and everything else finally hit me and just wore me out.